Hello guys and welcome to a new episode of Loibners lecture. Today we're going to talk about Android, especially about intents, which is the way of sending data between different activities. So for the first time today we will start to come up with a second activity, and we're trying to launch the second activity, come back to the first one, and then we also try to send data between these two activities. Before we start, I want to mention that this video is part of my lecture at the Higher Technical School of Kaindorf in Austria. Okay guys, so let's start just right away. I prepared an empty Android project here, which just contains the hello world that we have in there and the main activity. So that's it for now. And the first thing that we need if we want to forward to another activity is a new activity. So we right click and we do not create a new class only, but we're creating a new activity, and we're selecting the empty views activity here. And then let's just name it second activity. We just leave everything as is. We click on finish, and this is going to create another activity for us. So we have the second activity class up here, and we also have the activity underscore second.xml, so the XML file for that one, and all the linking, everything is perfectly done for us. We're starting in the main activity. So let's go here. Let's just get rid of that button of the text view. For the beginning, I have to say that I don't really care about design right now. It should just be some functional things so that we see what's happening and what's going on. Therefore, the view in here will just be a normal linear layout, and I'm going to set the orientation of that linear layout to be vertical. What I want to do is I want to have a text edit in there so that we can just place some plain text. I want to add a button which we can use to forward to the next view or activity, and I want to have a text view so that we can display text that's coming back. For the edit text here, I will set the ID to be ET input. I will get rid of the text here, but I would like to set a hint with the text of text. Then we have the button. So the button just receives some value of open second activity. And then we have the text view down there. Oh, I forgot to set an ID for the button. So it's BT open. And then we have the last element on there, which is a text view, and we're just calling it text view data. I do not want to have any text in there, but before we're going to start, I would like to give it a little bit more lines. So let's just set this to 20. So we have 20 lines now here. And I also would like to increase the text size a little bit. So let's go to 24. It's a little bit easier to read. And now we can get rid of the text that we have in there. Okay, so this is our first activity. And the first thing we want to try is if we click this open second activity button, we want the second activity to be forwarded. You should always remember that when it comes to Android, the activities are managed in a stack. So our main activity is on the stack, and if we are opening another activity, this means something else is put onto the stack, and the main activity is just freezing in the current state. And when we come back, then we are at that current state and we can go on there, but only if we do everything in the correct way. So let's come to the main activity. And let's make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Maybe it's easier to read for you. So let's just find the editor general, and I would just want like to do that thing. Yeah, that's great. Okay, guys. So we're starting by bringing in our button here, and I already forgot what the name was. BT open. Then we're going to initialize it, find view by ID, r.id, and then we have our BT open there. And now we have to register some event listener, so a click listen, and we need a method that we're going to call. So it's on open, it takes in a view. Oh, sorry. It takes in a view, and what we do here is bt open dot set on click listener new on click listener, and in there we're just calling the on open method and passing the view that we have here. Never mind about the arrow that we have there. As soon as you click the start button, this arrow is done. The reason for that is that the R class, this class here, is created during compile time. So sometimes IntelliJ just has problems to um, check if this is a valid option or not. Okay, so, okay, it's starting on the right hand side, so we're fine with the open second activity. Nothing happens if we click there. We can enter some text up here, and that's it. So the only thing we want to do now is we want to open or want to forward the next activity. And to do so, we have to create a so-called intent. And when we create this intent, we have different possibilities. So you can just create the intent without passing any values, but we also have the possibility to parse elements, and we can, for example, pass this and some class. For example, the second activity dot class. So we are having the package context to be the first parameter here, which is just the context we're currently in. That's why I'm using this here. And then we have the second activity.class, so the class information of the activity we wanted to forward us to. And for starting the next activity, we just call start activity, and we can just pass the intent, and then that already should do it for us. So when we run our application now, we can click on the open button that we have here. And if we click there, we're being forwarded to the second activity. Yeah, nothing is in there for sure, but that's how it works out here. So I just thought about maybe including another text at the top here that says which activity it is. So let's say activity 1, and let's style that a little bit. So I would like to set a gravity so that it's being centered. How about some margin at the bottom, and yeah, I think that's good. What else would be nice? Yeah, maybe the size. So let's make it a little bit bigger in size. Yeah, that looks good. And maybe also some text style. So set it to be bold. Okay, so this is our activity 1. And the thing is now I want the activity 2 to kind of look the same. So what we do is we just go in there and we're grabbing the inside of the linear layout, so which means just the text view, the edit text, the button, and the second text view there. And I would like to go to the second activity to open up the code here. But first thing I need to do is I need to convert this one there to a linear layout. That's very important to do first. And at the attributes page up there, I also want to set the orientation to be horizontal, because this is uh, nothing we copied before, but we copied all the other things. So let's just paste them in there. And there should be some things ongoing. We're missing some things. So it says activity 1 here. Let's rename that to activity 2, and then we have an edit text. And the problem is that we already have that kind of value here. So what we do is we're calling that ET input 2. And down there, I would say this is BT open 2, and this is TV data 2. And I think we should also rename that one here. Okay. Let's try it out. I'm currently not sure why it's not showing any of the other elements, but we will find out. So at least it's showing them in the component tree. Oh, it's horizontal. It should be vertical. There we go. Good. So let's just restart it once again because I messed up there. But now that should be fine. And while this is launching, we can just go back to the main activity to see what's happening down there. So we are in activity 1 now. If I click open second activity, we are at activity 2 now. Okay, so open second activity doesn't make any sense in the second one. So let's just rename that one to return. So we're using that to return to the other activity. So this is called ID BT return. Let's go to the second activity and see if we can return to the first one. So it's the same way of doing that. So we're just grabbing the button first, BT return. We're going to initialize it. We're going to set some on click listener. And then I just want to on return maybe where we're passing the view. Let's create that method on return view. And I just need to step out. Okay, and in here we can do a very simple thing. We can just say finish. So finish means we're finishing the second activity and we're returning one activity on the stack. So we're just taking off the stack the second activity, which means the main activity remains, and this is where our context is being switched to. This is how it works. And now whenever we click on open second activity, we're coming to the second one. If we click on return, we're returning to the first one, and we can just do this as often as we want. So that's pretty awesome. Looks good. So the next step for us would be that we want to enter some text here. Click open second activity, and then we want to display the text that we entered there here. So we're going to send some value from the first to the second activity. This is what we want to do now, and this is how we're going to extend our application. So that we do not forget what we did before, I'm just commenting it out and not deleting it. And we start in the same way. So first, let's grab the data. How did we call that text edit there? It was ET input. So let's grab it first. Private text edit. I think it's edit text. ET input, and would you say ET input equals find view by ID. There it is, and on there we can say it's ET input dot get text dot toString. Perfect. That's good. And now we're starting in the same way as we did before. So we have to create an intent. And once again, we're defining where we want to be redirected to, which is our second activity. And then for the intent, we can just put extra, which means we can put some value there. And the value that we are putting here always consists of a key and a value. And the key in our case, or for me, is just data right now. And the value is the data variable that we have down here. So everything in that string. and everything else is the same as it was before. So start activity, we're passing our intent, that's it. So to show you that this is still working, let's see what happens. So if we enter some text here, hello from first activity, and we click open second activity, for sure we are forwarded, but nothing happens. But if you see, if we are returning, we don't need that one. If we are returning back to the first activity, we see that everything still is as it was before. So in our second activity, we somehow have to grab the intent to get out the data that we found there. So first of all, I'm grabbing the TV data 2, private text view TV data 2, because this is where we're going to set the data afterwards. So it's find view by ID data 2, there it is. And now where can we grab the intent? What we're doing is we're starting a new activity, which means the onCreate method is called at the very beginning, and this is also the point where we should grab the intent. And this is done in very easy ways. You can just say intent equals and then get intent. And this get intent will get any intent that's being sent to that activity when it's starting up. For sure, we have to check if this intent is unequal to null, because otherwise we cannot continue, because if no intent was sent, then the get intent will return null. And the second thing is that I want to check if there is the value of data sent to me. And this is done by using the method hasExtra. And this hasExtra method just checks if there is a key value pair in the intent where the key is named data. If both of these conditions are true, we can get out the data. So we can say data equals intent dot. And now when getting the data, we have to define which data type we want to get. And we can say get string extra because we want to get the string value of whatever data is representing. This is how it's basically working here. And yeah, that's it. One thing I want to show you, if you are getting, for some reason, if you are getting an integer, for example, or any numeric value, you see that you have to set a default value. And that makes sense because if this wouldn't be there, so for example, if we would have sent some number here and this number wouldn't have been there, we just had to say 0 there. Okay, but we'll do that in a second so that we see how that also works out. Good. Now we have our data, and then we can just say TV data 2 dot set text, and this is going to be our data. Good. And that's all. So we're just grabbing the intent. We're checking if the intent is existing, and if it's existing, and also our key value pair is there, we are fine. So let's see. Hello from activity 1, open second activity, and it says hello from activity 1. So that's perfectly working. We are sending data to our second activity. Yay! Now let's assume we would have also sent some number. And then we can say intent dot get int extra, and let's say it would have been num. And if nothing was sent, the initial or the default value is going to be -1, and we're just adding it here. So number, so just to try out that thing there. Good. Hopefully that is working. We'll see if that's working in set text. Yeah. Let's find out. So we are running it. Just remember, in the first or in the main activity, we're not sending anything that's called num. But in the second activity, we're processing it, which means -1 is the thing to be returned. As you see, this concatenation is not working here. So let's just replace it by some string.format. We just say it's %s dash %d, and then it's data and its number. So that should make it work. Oh, and I also forgot to set some text there, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's a better solution. So we say hello here, and then it gives us hello dash -1 because this is the default value. If on the other hand side, we're going to put another value, put extra, for example, num, and we name this to be 12. And if we are running it again, now we are sending a value with the key num. Now let's see what happens. So if we say hello here again, it gives us hello 12 because this is exactly what is being returned there. Okay, so and now we're just missing one more thing because now we also want to send some data back to the first activity. And this sending back isn't that straightforward as we do it with start activity here because we have to change some things. And for sending data back, we need something special, and this special thing is called the activity result launcher. So usually what you do is you're defining the activity result launcher out here, and it's of the type intent, and I just like to call it launcher because that's what it is. And in our create method, we have to initialize that one. And it's being initialized by using the method register for activity result, which means whenever we are launching a new activity with the activity result launcher and we are returning to the old activity, a method is called which is processing anything that's being returned from the second activity. So we're preparing a method that's always fired when we return to the first activity. So let's use this register for activity result, and in there we need two things. So first of all, we need an activity result contract, and we want to take the contract start activity for result. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is defining what happens when we come back. So it's an activity result callback. This is an interface, so we're creating an inner anonymous class where we have this on activity result here. And now we have to define some method, for example, on, let's call it on return. And we're just passing the activity result. So we're creating a new method down there. We're calling it on return. And we have some activity result here. Let's call it result. Okay, so which means the activity result launcher, when we use this launcher to start a new activity, as we did it down here, but with the launcher, and we're returning from the other activity, this method here will be fired. So before doing that, let's just create a toast in here that tells us we are back. Let's do a toast.length short and show. And there we go. So we once again have to change something in here, but not very much. So instead of saying start activity intent, we can just say launcher.launch and passing the activity there. And basically that does kind of the same thing as we did it right now. We are entering some text here. Still remember we are sending the value 12. So it says hello 12. So this is working in the same way as it was before. And now let's pay attention to the area down there because there will be a toast coming up. We are back. So this method is now fired. And now we can try to grab anything that's being sent from the second activity. Right now, we are not sending anything from the second activity. So let's see how to do that. I think we defined some text in there too and some buttons. So the button is the BT return, and here we have the TV data 2. So okay, we have that one here. Oh, we both of them already there. Good. So instead of using just the finish method now, so I'm going to comment that one out, we have to do a little bit more because we need to send back some data. And when we want to send back some data, we need to have an intent. So we just create a new intent. Then we're just adding anything that we want to send back. In our case, it's our data that comes from TV data2 gets text to string. And then finally, we have to set some result. So we're going to set a result for our intent. And if everything worked out fine, we're using result OK. And if, for example, you have a cancel button and you do not want to do something, we're using result canceled. So we're using result OK for the intent that we just created here. Intent. And if we do that, afterwards, we can just call finish. So what happens? We're creating a new intent. We're putting all the data that we want to send back. We're setting the result for our intent, and then we're finishing the app. Until now, nothing will happen because in this on return, we didn't do anything. So the first thing we have to check is what the result code was. And if the result code was okay, we want to do something. And then we can grab the intent, but now we cannot use the getIntent method because the getIntent method can only be used once in the onCreate when the activity started. But we have some result here. And the result data, so getData, is an intent. And once again, we have to check if the intent is unequal to null. And as there is a string object in there where we cannot set a default value for, we also have to check if the intent has the extra of data. If that's true, we can just say, oh, we didn't grab it yet. What's the name? It's TV data. So let's just grab the TV data here. It's a text view TV data. And then we say TV data equals find view by ID. There we go. And then we can just say TV data.set text, and we're using the intent.get string extra data. And that's it. So if we're going to run it, what will happen? So we are on the first activity. We are setting some value there, which means hello right now. We're opening the second activity using our activity result launcher. So we're launching it. Everything is sent there. It looks good. Then we write hello back here. We click the return button. And now it still says hello 12 here. So the question now is what's happening? Let's recap it so that we find out. This onOpen uses an extra called data and num. This is being sent to the second activity where we are grabbing our intent. We're checking if this has extra of data. We're grabbing the data and we are setting it to the TV data2. And what did we do? We were grabbing it from TV data2. For sure, it must be the same thing. So we have to use the ET input too. So guys, always be very, very careful when sending data and using all of these elements. So please really use names that are self-explaining, because otherwise you will have big troubles. Because we are using input 2 here. Let's grab it. ET input 2 is find view by ID, r.id, input 2, there it is. And now we can say ET input 2.get text.toString. And now we should have our final version. So let's try it out. So what we do is we have hello from the first activity, forwarding to the second one, hello 12. Then we say hello back here, we are returning, and we see hello back in there. And we can just continue doing all these things, but you for sure see that activity 2 isn't at the same state as before. Activity 1 is always at the same state as before, but activity 2 isn't. And the reason for that is that activity 2 is finished and then restarting again. So that cannot work out, okay? It's always being started again. Great. So this is how it's to send data between activities. You can create as many activities as you want to, and it's always working in the same way. So if you just want to forward to another activity, you can use start activity. If you want to send some data, just put it for the intent. And if you're also expecting the other activity to return some data to you, you have to use the activity result launcher to launch it, where you have one method that is defined up here, and this method is the one to be called as soon as we return. We're just checking the result, we're checking the intent and the values or the data that's coming from there, and if everything is fine, we can just display it. In the second activity, so whenever finishing or returning to the app that's on the stack just below the current one, we can use the finish method, and if we want to send something back, we have to for sure create an intent to hold the data, and we have to set the result for the intent before finishing our activity. Okay, guys. So this is already the end of the video. We will continue with that video in the with that project in the second part, where we will talk about intents and sending our own objects, and also we'll find out about the list view and how to display elements inside that list view. I hope you learned something new today and also enjoyed it. And if you like this video, please leave a like here. And if you do not want to miss any upcoming episodes, I would be happy if you also subscribe my channel. So guys, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time. Bye.